Welcome, passionate hearts who can hear the whisper beneath the headline and the tremor behind the smile. You are in your sanctuary, Turkish Spotlight Secrets, where every heartbeat of the stars becomes a story we can feel together. Tonight our lens turns toward the woman who has long treated privacy as her most precious jewel and talent as her clearest signature, Hazal Kaya. This isn't a routine check-in. What we bring you is a shift in the axis of celebrity whispers, a revelation that rattled the glass of gala halls and sent timelines spiraling. Hazal spoke, and the echo of her words has not stopped traveling. But first, if you breathe the same oxygen as our stories, make your presence felt, subscribe, ring that bell, and, if you want to back a voice that looks past the surface, tap the join button and stand with us. The moment unfolded beneath chandeliers and camera lights, at one of those lavish evenings where laughter sounds like music and flashbulbs imitate stars. Hazal Kaya appeared at the barricade of microphones with a glow that wasn't from the spotlights alone. There was something different in her posture, an ease that made the veterans in the press row straighten their backs. You could sense it even before she opened her mouth. A decision had been made somewhere quiet, and now the world would hear it. She leaned toward the questions, eyes steady, voice low but ringing, and dropped the sentence that shook every feed from Istanbul to Los Angeles: I'm in love with him, and I refuse to keep it behind closed doors. No hesitation, no giggle to soften it, no strategic cough to buy time. A sentence anchored in certainty, offered without apology. For someone who guarded her heart like a fortress, this was the drawbridge lowering with a clean, resonant clang. That smile afterward wasn't a performance, it was a seal. History remembers when the mask is set down and the person steps forward. And she did not stop there. As if a valve had finally turned, the words flowed with the relief of someone who had negotiated with herself and reached peace. Everything is aligned in my life, she continued. I feel calm, I feel joyful. I love him, and... She paused, letting the conjunction dangle like a ribbon in the wind, then pivoted to another question without patching the sentence. The unfinished thought traveled faster than any full explanation ever could. The absence of a name became its own incendiary detail. She left the identity of her love in deliberate shadow, and that shadow was crowded within minutes by possibilities. Was this a flame rekindled, a long-guarded bond that had kept its warmth out of sight? Or the emergence of something newer, quieted until it grew strong enough to meet daylight? Dear friends of Turkish Spotlight Secrets, where does your compass point? Do you read this as a long story finally spoken aloud, or a surprising turn we didn't see coming? Write your instincts below, and if your curiosity is a living thing, you know the join button is always waiting with the door ajar. In the hours that followed, the digital realm didn't just react, it burst. Fandom split into two distinct choirs, one cheering her courage to live without curtains, the other bracing for the inevitable storm of scrutiny. Yet even in their disagreement, they shared a rare consensus: Hazal had redrawn the map. Those who walk the tightrope between fame and life took note. A line had been crossed not with scandal, but with clarity. From the people who actually see her between the takes and away from the sets came a different melody. She had, they said, been listening closely to her own pulse for months. The decision to speak wasn't a whim, it came after long conversations with her quieter self. They describe her now as lighter in the shoulders, brighter in her laugh, sharp as ever but softer in the in-between moments. On set, colleagues felt the vibe shift, clearer air, looser jokes, a contagious steadiness. Happiness, when it's honest, changes the temperature of a room. The fragment "I love him, and" became a living phrase, repeating through fan edits, comment threads, and late-night debates. What sat on the other side of that conjunction? And I'll defend it? And I'm not afraid? And I'm ready? The silence after the end spoke as loudly as any continuation. Professionals who parse body language slowed the video down frame by frame. She didn't flinch. She didn't scramble to fix what had been left hanging. She left the door cracked on purpose, granting the moment a resonance that a complete sentence would have killed. Word around sets is that a new era has begun for Hazal. Offers aren't just arriving, they're arriving shaped for someone who knows exactly who she is. The harmony she's found between her work and her heart appears to be feeding both. A few directors we trust whisper that the next roles she's eyeing require the kind of quiet courage only real-life equilibrium can give. She isn't letting the world push her into confession, nor is she hiding from its curiosity. She is taking the reins and deciding when to speak, what to share, and where to keep her velvet curtain drawn. And despite the escalating interest, those close to her insist there will be no retreat. No more choreography to dodge questions, no emergency denials to tidy timelines, no half-lies to keep the wolves at bay. She wants to be seen, not as a rumor but as a person who loves, lives, and chooses happiness without shame. The gossip machine, often eager to grind people down, found itself applauding. The narrative had shifted from beauty icon to author of her own pages. Attention now pivots to the calendar. Every red carpet, every festival, every charity event is under a magnifying glass. Will the unnamed he step beside her? Will she offer the second half of that sentence in a moment as carefully placed as the first? Or will she continue to lead gentle breadcrumbs, controlling the tempo and savoring the watchful hush between notes? Predicting her is a fool's game, but appreciating the craft with which she moves is its own reward. Of course, the center of the whisper remains the man whose name she declined to say. Longtime followers know which history the internet keeps resurrecting, and which screen partner's name seems to collect every hint like iron to a magnet. But facts are stubborn things, and this fact is hers to reveal. Still, a thread keeps tugging at the imagination. She has acknowledged privately, people say, that someone special has existed in her story for quite some time. That "for quite some time" is the phrase everyone keeps circling. Did a tender connection unfold parallel to the noise of public speculation? Did she shelter a quiet, growing truth while the world stared somewhere else? If that's the case, it only deepens the portrait. It suggests a woman who refuses to be buffeted by the calendar of headlines, who lets feelings stand long enough to prove themselves before placing them under the lights. Even her silence in the hours after the confession felt almost ceremonial. In the unwritten etiquette of the fame game, not denying is a kind of confirmation, and sparing details is a promise that the right moment will come. This is not capitulation to curiosity, it's curation. She is engineering the story of her own joy. And the name that beats inside every theory, of course, is Kagate Ulusoy. His path has often intertwined with hers in the public's imagination, and their chemistry, once the stuff of scenes, never stopped being a whisper on the wind. If he is the man at the heart of that sentence, and many believe he is, then Turkey might be on the brink of witnessing a chapter it has daydreamed into existence for years. The image of the two of them, side by side, not as colleagues or relics of a beloved project but as partners, is enough to send even the calmest observer into reverie. But here is what matters most: whatever name finally stands beside hers, the tone has been set. Hazal has shown that one can share truth without surrendering soul. She has demonstrated a way to say "I'm in love" in front of 1,000 lenses and still keep the sanctity of the feeling intact. That balance, that discretion with honesty, is not only refreshing, it is instructive. Watch closely. The ripples from this moment are widening, touching boardrooms, green rooms, and living rooms alike. So we arrive at a question that belongs to the coming days. What shape will the next revelation take? An arrival together beneath the glitter of a premiere? A candid photograph that looks too perfect to be accidental? Or another precisely measured sentence, placed like a stepping stone across a river she plans to cross at her own pace? Wherever this story goes, it will be carried by the same steady hands that set it down today. We close with the certainty that this confession, soft-spoken but seismic, will keep echoing in conversations and clips. It has redrawn the border between privacy and presence, proving that openness can be elegant and that mystery doesn't require denial. Hazal has tossed a stone into still water, and the circles are expanding toward shores we can't yet see, but suspect are golden. We've reached the end of this chapter here on Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Hazal Kaya has reminded us that love, when it finally chooses sunlight, is the bravest news of all. We'll be here, patient and alert, ready to catch the look, the gesture, the word that completes the thought she left gently suspended. What do you anticipate from her next steps? Will the name be spoken, or will she continue to let our imaginations hum while she writes the story quietly? Tell us in the comments, your voice is part of this unfolding. If our way of telling moved you, give the video a like and share it with those who listen with their hearts. And to be first in line when truth decides to speak again, and to fuel the work that brings it to you, click join. Your faith keeps our light on. Thank you for being with us. Until the next video, where the pulse of the stars keeps time with your own.